Well, it happened. The DNA of 15 million customers is about to be auctioned off to the highest bidder. If you've been following this disaster with 23andMe unfolding over the last couple of weeks, the news today out of the Zero Hedge is somewhat terrifying, especially if you're a 23andMe customer that's not been able to delete their data from the 23andMe database or website. Article is 23andMe cleared by judge to sell Americans' DNA data to highest bidder. Fast forward, so there were three stories that Zero Hedge did on this that they've highlighted. I didn't cover this story. I've been watching it unfold, but today I think this is kind of the, let's say, the coup de grace, if you will. Monday's article was 23andMe files for bankruptcy, CEO resigns, fate of Americans' DNA now in court to revise sale. Tuesday's article was U.S. official alleges 23andMe sold Americans' DNA to pharma companies owned by foreign adversaries. Wednesday's article was entitled 23andMe customers panic to delete genetic data. Today is bankruptcy judge clears 23andMe to sell. It'll be the bankruptcy trustee to sell the DNA to the highest bidder. It's an asset, deemed an asset of the business, and it's going to be auctioned off like any other asset of a bankruptcy estate. It says, fast forward to Thursday, Bloomberg reports the worst fear for 15 million 23andMe customers. U.S. bankruptcy judge Brian Walsh has granted the defunct genetic testing startup permission to sell its massive genetic database, potentially ending up in the hands of private equity firms that will find new ways to monetize the sensitive data. That's a conclusion. What if it ends up in hands other than private equity? What if it ends up in the hands of the United States government or possibly even foreign governments? Again, I don't know what the bidding rules on this are, but it could be a lot worse than that. It says, under the sale procedures, the company set quick deadlines for potential bidders, including May 7th, when definitive offers are due and a final hearing the following month. U.S. bankruptcy judge Brian Walsh required the company to slow the overall pace by 2 weeks to accommodate his schedule and in part to give creditors a chance to weigh in before the court makes a final decision on a buyer. Not if it's going to be sold, but to who it's going to be sold. Quote, my overall reaction to the timeline is that it's pretty tight, Walsh said at the company's first bankruptcy hearing held in St. Louis. It says Walsh's ruling didn't resolve concerns raised by looming auction of the sensitive data or complaints from the shareholders about the months of 23andMe spent trying to find a buyer before filing court protection earlier this week. Yeah, it's very possible if what was going on in the weeks prior was that the company was trying to raise cash and selling off maybe in tranches some of this data. I don't have information to back that up, but of course that's also a possibility. It says lawyer for the U.S. Trustee's Office, which acts as public watchdog in bankruptcy court, told Walsh that a private ombudsman is necessary to oversee the sale of customer genetic information. This is crazy. Again, I don't know. Do you have any family member, friends, loved ones that shipped off their DNA in whatever form to this 23andMe over the past years while it's been in business to try to figure out who their ancestors were or their heritage or who their linear descendants are? Again, it wasn't something that ever interested me. From the time that I first saw it, I thought to myself, why would you do that? But I have heard of people that have received that kit and did this. All I can say is here, I hope people are paying attention. Here is what can happen, okay, when this kind of information gets, gets outside of the possession and control of, let's say, the only intended recipient, okay? So 15 million, I don't know if I want to use the word gullible people. I do want to use that word because I think it's gullible. I think that, the information, the cost-benefit analysis from my perspective never made sense. Again, love to hear your thoughts and comments on that. So anyway, 15, now what I tried to do is search and see if the 15 million customers are all located in the United States. It appears they are, but I couldn't verify that. If you guys can, let me know in the comments. So there was yesterday some information that came out. I know I'm going to get some comments saying, well, people are able to go on there and delete their data so they wouldn't be, so they can control the outcome. And not so fast on that. There were some customers yesterday. One particular example, Bloomberg spoke to a customer who could not delete her genetic information or data because of website disruptions. Ruth Ann Miller, 37, promptly received an email from 23andMe when she sought to reset her password to log into her account, but didn't receive a verification code from the company that would allow her to do so. I've been checking my email rather frequently, Miller said. She's checked her spam folder too, but hasn't received a code. So again, do you guys have any experience with this, or family, friends that are trying to delete the information before it gets put on the auction block and been unable to access the website, assigned to their account, or otherwise been actually unsuccessful? I'd like to hear what's going on the ground with this. Very, very scary stuff, okay? The next story I thought was important today, by the way, stock markets can't get traction. Again, had a down day today, sold off, obviously on the heels of the news yesterday, late in the day from the Trump administration that there was going to be a 25% tariff applied to all automobiles that are not manufactured or made within the United States. I haven't delved in or dug into the details of what that means. And will there be some workarounds? But I know that I believe GM stock was hit pretty hard today. And they're saying that, Tesla is a beneficiary of this. The Tesla stock went up. Again, don't know all the details and metrics. Has to do with if you manufacture all your parts here, things of that nature. I don't believe it applies to parts. I believe it's finished vehicles. But anyway, that's the reason, from my perspective, why the markets got hit today. Gold and silver, huge day today. If you guys are following the metals markets, gold put on a $36 gain, closed at $3,057. Silver, 76-cent gain, closed at $34.46. So the last bit of information or say news that I saw is worth sharing with you today has to do with more layoffs. Discussed this repeatedly on the show. Layoffs have been unfolding. They are incoming now, and there's going to be more in the pipeline. This has to do with the Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. plans to slash 10,000 full-time employees across different departments as he works to reshape the nation's federal health facilities or agencies, departments said Thursday. This is out of the CNBC article today. Those job cuts are in addition to about 10,000 employees who opted to leave Health and Human Services since Trump took office through voluntary separation offers. So combined, they will lead to the federal health department shedding about a quarter of its workforce, shrinking it to about 62,000 employees. If you're being impacted or will be impacted by this determination regarding the Health and Human Services Department, please let me know. You have family, friends. Here's the breakdown. 3,500 full-time employees from the Food and Drug Administration. That's 19% of its workforce. 2,400 workers from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or roughly 18% of its staff. 1,200 employees from the National Institutes of Health, or about 6% of its workforce. 300 workers from Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, roughly 4% of its employees. He's going to be consolidating 28 current divisions, it says, into 15 new ones in order to, quote, centralize core functions, end quote, such as human resources, information technology, procurement, external affairs, and policy. The point is, guys, that if you haven't been affected by this decision, another 10,000, are you in the government sector? Are you in the private sector where this will potentially impact your job, because the private sector is going to be struggling to absorb all of these laid off people, okay? And of course, people that don't have a job are not going to be spending like they were when they had a paycheck coming in on a regular basis, okay? So the economy is going to, no matter what you're hearing mainstream cheerleaders talking about, this is going to take a hit. This is going to have an impact on the economy, which will take a hit from these continued layoffs. This is stuff that's layering on. It's going to be a cumulative issue, and I think we're going to have to deal with it. Now, does that mean it's going to go into another Great Depression? I'm not saying that, but you certainly have weakness in the markets, in the stock market, which I think is usually they're forward looking to events. And there's a lot of uncertainty. It's why you're seeing metals, the gold and silver market catch a pretty strong bid right now as well. So discuss this again, pre-election, pre-inauguration, post-inauguration, and here we are. Okay, it's playing out. So I hope you guys are doing what you can to insulate yourself from a potential job loss. Have a backup plan in place. Don't wait for it to happen. Don't be reactionary, be proactive, okay? And hopefully you have some sort of a nest egg set aside, so if you do find yourself on the other end of a job loss, that you can survive, pay your bills, pay for your family and food and all that stuff that is necessary to basically live. So anyway, I'll leave it there today. None of the news actually that I saw today is great news. I didn't see any silver lining, items to share with you. I covered silver to use the word silver yesterday. Hope you guys caught that show. Again, stay vigilant. I'll talk to all of you guys very soon. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Appreciate you hitting the like button for me and subscribing. Talk to you soon. Bye.